Hi guys, it's Joanne here. Welcome again to my YouTube channel. If this is your first time here, thank you so much for stopping by. Please click on the subscribe button and don't forget to turn on your notification bell for more videos like this. And for my returning subscribers, thank you guys so much for always stopping by and for believing in me. So in this video, I'm going to be showing you guys how to cut this beautiful two-piece crop top and trouser you're seeing here. Trust me, it is really going to be detailed. Now if you're interested in something like this, you're going to have to watch this video to the end. Don't skip any part, guys. So let's get right into the tutorial. So guys, I'm going to be using this fabric here for the tutorial. This is a crepe fabric and this is 3.5 yards. I'm going to be using part of it as the lining piece for the top. Let's get to the drafting part. For the drafting part, I'm going to be using this brown paper here. So I have already drawn out the start point line. This is also known as the shoulder line. I'm just going to label this as the shoulder. Okay, so from this line here, I'm going to be taking the vertical measurements. Now placing my tape here on this line here, I'm going to be coming down by the chest line measurement. So to determine your chest line, divide your bust measurement by 6 plus 1.5 inches. Okay, once you get that measurement, you're going to be making a point there from your shoulder, come down by your chest line measurement. I'm going to go ahead to rule this line I just dotted. Okay, so I'm going to rule it into a straight line like this. Next thing I'm going to do will be to label this as the chest line. So back to the shoulder line here, I'm going to also mark the bust point line, okay, or the bust line. All right, so from the shoulder line, I'm going to be coming down by the bust line, which is 9.5 inches. Okay, so from the shoulder line, I came down by 9.5 inches. That will be for the bust point line. I'm also going to square this up. All right, now I'm going to label this as the bust point. So back to the shoulder line, I'm going to also determine the length of this top. Since it is a crop top, I came down by 21 inches. Okay, so my client doesn't want this to be too short, so I came down by 21 inches, and I'm going to do the same thing on this other side to enable me get a straight line. Now I am going to as well square this line up. All right, so I have gotten the vertical lines. I labeled that last line as the bust line. So the first line here is a shoulder line, the chest line, bust line, and the blouse lines. Now guys, moving forward, I'm going to start taking the horizontal measurement. That is the measurement across the body. All right, so I had to turn this paper this way because it was actually stressing me out. Sorry guys. So back to the shoulder line here, I'm going to be determining the shoulder measurement. So divide your shoulder by 2, your shoulder measurement by 2, and impute on the shoulder line. I'll do the same thing on the chest line. I repeated that measurement. Now on the shoulder line here, I came down by 1 inch for the shoulder slope. Now from that 1 inch point I came down by, I just drew a line, straight line, all the way to the chest line. So on the neck width, I came in here by 3 inches and I connected the shoulder slope as you've seen. Now I'm going to be ruling out the armhole. To do that, you're going to have to mark your bust measurement, a quarter of your bust measurement on the chest line, and on this straight line here, you're going to get the midpoint of that line, and after that, make a point there and come down by ½ inch. Once you've come down by ½ inch, also come in by ½ inch. From that point you came down by ½ inch, and from there you're going to get your armhole curve, or it's either use your armhole curve or you use a free hand to rule your armhole. So I'm just going to rule the armhole like this back to me to this measurement on the chest line, and from there I'm going to also connect it from the midpoint all the way to the top of the shoulder. Okay, so I have gotten the armhole beautifully. Next thing I'm going to do would be to draw out the neck depth. Okay, so for the neck width, I'm going to mark 3.5 inches. Now for the neck depth, I'm going to come down by 6.5 inches. This depends on what you want. If you want your cleavage to be revealing, then you're going to have to come down by 7 inches or 8 inches thereabouts. It depends on what you want, guys. So I'm going to simply connect the neck line like so. Okay, so this is actually a deep V neckline. Next thing I'm going to do will be to extend this measurement on the chest line to the bust point line. All right, so moving forward, I'm going to take the quarter of the waist measurement. Okay, so take the quarter of your waist measurement and impute on this line. Once you've done that, you're going to be adding 1 inch for that intake. Since you're going to be adding that to this, so add 1 inch for that intake and connect all the way to meet to your bust point line. Having done this, the next thing I'm going to do will be to take in the darts. So divide your bust span measurement by 2, and you're going to be imputing half of that. Once you've divided your bust span measurement, you're going to impute half of it. Okay, now do that from the chest, from the bust line, come in by your bust span measurement, which you've divided by 2, and impute on your bust point line. Do the same thing on your waistline and connect with a straight line from the top part here to the waistline. All right, so which I'm about doing now. Now on the waistline, I'm going to be taking in the darts, but before then I came down from the bust point line by 1 inch. Now on the waistline, I came in by ½ inch on both sides. That will be for the dart intake. Now connect it from the top part here to meet to your dart intake on the waistline. Having done that, I'm going to just shade this part to show you guys that this is actually a dart intake which I've already taken in. So I'm going to be stitching that part on the fabric. Okay, so now having done this, we are basically through for the front part, but on the shoulder area here, on the armhole area, I'm going to be coming in by like 0.25. This is because this top is going to be a sleeveless. Okay, so you don't want the sleeve coming too down on your shoulder line, so you want to have your sleeve not too down on your shoulder line. Hope you understand what I mean. So I just connected it back to my armhole, and I'm going to label this as the front. Okay, so moving forward, I'm going to cut this out now and draft the back part. Now I'm going to go ahead and draft the back part. So this is the back pattern which I'm going to be using. So I've already drawn out some necessary lines here. Okay, it's basically the same thing as the front part. So what I did for this back part is that I drew out the shoulder line, the armhole, the chest line. So you don't need your bust line for this back part, and go ahead to draw out your armhole, which I did for the front. The same thing I did for the front is the same thing I'm going to be doing for this back. Okay, so I marked the midpoint and I came down by ½ inch. From that point, I'm going to also come in here by ½ inch. Now I'm going to connect my armhole, but first you're going to get the quarter of your bust measurement to enable you draw out your beautiful armhole. Now draw out your armhole this way from your chest line to meet to the midpoint back to the tip of your shoulder. Now after doing that, I am going to also come in here by 0.25 like I did for the front, and I'm going to connect it back to my armhole measurement, as you guys can see. And now on the neckline here, back to the shoulder line, I'm going to mark the neck width, which is 3.5 inches, and I'm going to come down for the neck depth by 12 inches. This depends on what you want, guys. So you want to take your measurement. For you may want to come down more than 12 inches. For some of you, you may want to go up above 12 inches. so it depends on what you want. So get your cuff through and connect it all the way from your shoulder, from your neck width to meet to the neck depth which you marked earlier. Okay, so as you guys can see, I have drawn this beautifully well. Now I'm going to also use this ruler to like give it some kind of a deep curve around the around this around this V neckline, the down part. So I want it to be a bit curvy around the down part. As you guys can see, I didn't want it to come out like straight V. So I have like some kind of UV neckline. I don't know if there's anything like that. So this is what I have here for the back. Now on the waistline, I'm going to be taking a quarter of the waist measurements. Okay, and from there I'm going to be adding 1 inch for that intake. So as you guys can see, I added 1 inch for that intake. I'm going to simply connect this from the dart intake all the way to the chest line. So guys, that's basically it for the top part. There's nothing to it. And next thing, I'm going to also mark in taking the dart for the back parts, just the way I did for the front. I divided the bust span measurement by 2 and I imputed on the chest line and on the waistline. I'm going to simply connect this into a straight line from the top part to the waistline. Now I'm going to be coming down here on the waistline and taking the dart of 1/2 inch on both sides. Once I've done that, I'm going to also take my straight rule and connect it back to meet to the chest line to form the dart for this top. Okay, so guys, that's just basically it. If you notice, I did not add any zipper allowance to this back part. So for you, if you want to add zipper allowance to this back part, feel free to do that, but you're going to be having a detachable bow. All right, since I'm going to be tacking the bow on the top, I did not necessarily add zipper allowance to the back part. Now I'm going to be adding zipper allowance to the side of this top. Okay, so guys, if you do not know how to add your zipper allowance to the side of your top, this is a good opportunity for you to learn. So I subtracted about 1 inch from the length of this top because I felt like it was too long for a crop top. So guys, went ahead to label this as the back pattern. So next thing I'm going to do would be to use this to cut on the fabric, and I'm going to show you guys the pattern for the trouser in a bit. So guys, I had to draft this trouser pattern off camera for the sake of time, but I have a detailed tutorial on how you can draft your basic trouser. It is really detailed. You really need to see that video if you've not seen it. Now back to this pattern here. I drafted both the front and the back on this pattern paper. That's why you're seeing so many lines here. So on this down part, the length of the trouser or the pattern, I'm going to be making some alteration on this area here. So guys, you want to watch how I'm going to be doing that. Don't skip any part of this video in order for you to follow. Now I'm going to draft this. I trace this to the front part to another pattern paper. So this is the front part, which I'm going to label this as the front, so don't be confused guys. So this is the front pattern of the trouser. Now this is what it looks like. I traced every part of it, including the dart intake. Now for this one here, you're seeing so many lines here, right? Don't be confused. So the blue line there is the front part, which I traced out to another pattern paper. Now the red line is the back part, which I am going to be using for this pattern. Okay, so guys, now I'm going to have to take my time to cancel out this blue line in order not to confuse you guys as we go. So I'm canceling the blue line, which is the front part, which we are not going to be making use of on this particular pattern paper you're seeing here. That's why I'm canceling it, in order not to confuse you guys. So I'm going to do the same thing for the dart intake for the front, now leaving the red line. Okay, so focus your attention on the red line, not the blue line, which I just cancelled. Okay, Now I'm going to have to also take this pattern out, and I'm going to be start working on the front pattern, basically on the down part all the way to the crouch area. Okay, so now we are going to come down here for this down part. The way you have the length on your pattern paper, extend the circumference of this length. Okay, so I'm going to be for the purpose of this tutorial, I'm going to be extending it by 2 inches. This totally depends on what you want. For you, if you don't want to have a wide, if you want yours to be this wide, you can as well do less than 2 inches. If you want yours to be wider than this, you can increase the measurement from 2 inches to whatever measurement you want. Then on this part here, since I'm going to be ruling the line all the way to this part here, so on the crouch line where you're seeing the crouch line, to serve as a guide for you, you're going to come down from the crouch line here by like 1 inch. Okay, so from this crouch line, here, come down by like 1 inch, and from there you're going to be connecting with a straight line all the way to meet to that 2 inches which you extended on the length. Okay, on the length of your trouser on this pattern paper. Hope you're following what I'm explaining. So connect it in such a way that you tilt your ruler to accommodate the 2 inches which you extended. All right, I hope you understand. Now, having drawn this part on the out seam of the trouser, I'm going to come in here on the inseam and do the same thing. Okay, so from this crouch line here, just the way you did for on the out seam, come down here by the crouch by 1 inch. On the crouch, come down by 1 inch. Once you've done that, you're going to take a slight curve around your crouch area or your thigh area, then use a straight line and connect to meet to the length. Okay, to meet to the 2 inches extension which you made on the length. All right, hope you're clear on what we are doing here. So that's just basically it for the extension, guys. So I'm going to do the same thing on the back parts, but I would be doing that one off camera to save us the time. So that's just basically it. I'm going to cut this out now. So cut from the extension which you made from the length all the way to the top part. And guys, notice that I did not add any extra seam allowance on this pattern paper. I'm going to be doing that on the main fabric. Okay, so that's just basically it for this one here. Now this is what it looks like after I was done cutting it out, and this is what the length looks like. Okay, it's a bit wider than the actual measurements which I had earlier on. So that's how it is. I'm going to do the back part, and also I'm going to be using this to cut on the fabric. All right, so guys, I had to show you guys the back part as well, which I extended, and this is what this looks like. So this is what it looks like. If you don't know how to draft your trouser pattern, you have to check out that video. It is very detailed. Now this is the top part, the upper bodice. This is what it is. So I'll use this to cut on the fabric and show you guys. I have cut this on my fabric off camera, and I'm just going to show you the allowances which I kept on each of these patterns. So I added 1.025 on the side. I don't want to work with much allowance. Okay, so on this top part here, I added 1/2 inch. Okay, notice that this center line is on fold. Okay, I folded the center part to cut. I don't want to have a straight stitch on the center line. Now I also cut 2 pieces for the front, which I'm going to be using the second piece as the lining piece. Okay, just to give this a neater look. I did the same thing for the back parts, and I did not add any allowance to the down parts, guys. I didn't necessarily want to add any allowance to the down parts. Now for this center line, I also marked on fold. Like I said, the zipper is going to be on the side, so I did not add any zipper allowance to the back parts on the center back. Okay, so this is the trouser piece for the front. Now I added half inch all around this pattern. I added half inch on the crouch, the inseam, the outseam, and on the length I added 2 inches. So I added 2 inches on this part. I'm going to be using folding this part like this with my hemming gum. Okay, so for the back parts I did the same thing I did for the front basically. So I added half inch all around this pattern as well. Have you guys seen? I added half inch to the top part, the inseam, the outseam, and the crouch area, and I added 2 inches extra seam allowance for hemming on the down part. So guys, this trouser is, my client wants a zipper at the back, an invisible zipper at the back, so I'm not going to be having a zipper fly. So it's going to be a zip, there's going to be a zipper at the back. So this tutorial is, the sewing part is really going to be interesting. I hope you guys see that part as well. I'm going to be uploading the sewing part soon. So for now, thank you so much for sticking around, and don't forget to subscribe and like this video. Also share this video so that other people can get to see, watch, and learn. Thank you so much for coming back here, and see you guys in my next one.